So you want to get into skateboarding, huh? Maybe you played some skateboarding video game and you want to try out the real thing. Or maybe you just saw somebody skateboarding on your Instagram feed or TikTok, or maybe even on the sidewalk and you thought it looked fun and something that you want to try out. Or maybe the YouTube algorithm just blessed you with this video and you're curious enough that you clicked on it. And if that is the case, then this might be your sign to get into skateboarding. Because skating can be one of the most rewarding, yet at the same time completely frustrating things that you'll ever do. It's kind of like being married, but the skateboard never really talks back to you. But then again, in some ways it kind of does. And sometimes skateboarding is even an abusive relationship. But then again, the abuse goes both ways. You abuse your skateboard, it abuses you. It's an endless cycle of pain and misery. Sometimes. But then again, through skateboarding, I have met some of my closest friends, had the best feelings that I've ever had with my pants on, and today it even pays my bills. So, you still want to get into skateboarding? Well, let me introduce you to what's in store. First, let's talk about what's really in the store. The elephant in the room. Money. Well, I guess skateboard, but you need money to buy a skateboard. Unfortunately, there are some upfront costs that come with skateboarding, but fortunately, they aren't all that expensive. Granted, you can't just hop onto any 2x4 with flip-flops thinking that you're gonna be a next Tony Hawk. I mean, I guess that you could, but you'll look more like a schizophrenic homeless man that spent his $5 that he got at the corner at Home Depot. Anyway, some of the first things that you'll need when you start off skateboarding is some proper skate shoes, some loose clothing, and obviously a skateboard. Without going too much in depth, because I have many videos about this already, check out Lakai, Vans, and your Nike SB for some quality skate shoes, and then wear those with a thick pair of socks and you should be fine. Then find some loose fitting clothing that can be something as simple as just sweatpants and a hoodie. The most important thing is that you want to wear something that lets you move around unrestricted. And of course, for skateboards, I recommend Cow 7 as they have completes and decks at a great price, and they're also my sponsor. There's links in the description down below for everything that you need, or just the completes if you just want to buy the complete. But whatever you do not get your first skateboard at Walmart, Target, Big Five, whatever big retail store. Just avoid those like the plague for skateboards. They have horrible boards. Instead, try to find a local skate shop near you and go in there and ask one of the employees for some help. They'll be more than happy with helping a beginner out to get their first setup right. And yes, it'll be more expensive, but trust me, it is worth to spend the extra money on a good setup. So now that you've stolen your mom's credit card and got all the necessities you need to skate, now all you have to do is skate. Simple enough, right? Now you're gonna wanna do all that shit that you could do in Skate 3, of course. You might think that you could learn kickflips in your first week. I mean, the pros make it look so easy, right? But slow down, bucko. You really gotta learn the essential basics first. I'm not even talking about ollies. I'm talking about pushing, stopping, and churning. Like honestly, if you're a complete beginner and have never stepped foot on a skateboard in your life, then it might just be a good idea for you to get a longboard or at least some cruiser wheels for your skateboard and literally ride around everywhere that you can, just to get comfortable with the main basics of pushing, stopping, and churning. Learning these skills first will make learning the rest of skateboarding a whole lot easier, which is where you get absolutely slapped, ball gagged, and spit roasted by the reality that is skateboarding, which is pain, frustration, and the realization that skateboarding is a lot harder than it looks. If you are a masochist, you will absolutely love skateboarding. And if you're normal and hate pain and try to avoid it as much as you can, skateboarding will make you fall in love with pain. Well, okay, you might not love it, but you'll accept it as a fact of life. In no other sport, hobby, or art form will you feel as much as you do in skateboarding. For weeks straight, you can grind away on one single trick and feel like you're getting nowhere. You will keep making the same mistakes and you will literally reach the point of insanity where you keep doing the same thing over and over again and expecting a different result. But the moment that will determine if you are truly a skateboarder is that no matter how many times you fall, you will always get back up and try again. And eventually you will achieve one of the best feelings that you can get in this world, and that is landing your trick. And this cycle will continue no matter how good you get at skateboarding. There will always be a trick that is harder than the one that you landed before. The sense of progression that you get in skateboarding is the main driving factor for why so many people love skateboarding. And on top of that, once you get the basics down, it gets a lot more fun. It turns less into cock and ball torture and more into a cock and ball massage with a happy ending. Yes, as I talked about before, skateboarding can be frustrating and painful, but it does not mean that it's not one of the most relaxing, satisfying, and therapeutic things you can do in the world. It can be a great way to bash your brains out and also clear your mind. and sometimes both at the same time. People who don't skate seem to think that skateboarding is one of the most dangerous sports in the world. After all, there are countless hours of skateboarding fail compilations uploaded to YouTube that will cause your balls to shrivel up and go back inside of your body. And yes, you can seriously get hurt. You can break bones, get knocked out, especially if you're a dumbass. But here's the reality of it. You're very unlikely to get seriously injured as long as you're doing things that are within your skill level or even slightly above. Your biggest chances of getting seriously hurt are when you're just starting out and are lacking guidance, or when you're extremely good and you do massive tricks all the time and eventually you just have a slip up and you fall. Of course, you can also wear protective gear such as pads or a helmet to further minimize the risks of getting hurt, but most importantly, learning how to fall will reduce injuries the most. So pretty much as long as the first time you ride a skateboard you don't jump off a roof, you should be alright. Speaking of jumping off of roofs, another aspect of the sport that can be difficult is not comparing yourself to others. It's kind of like watching Johnny Sins. I mean, that guy is so talented. He's a plumber, he's a dentist, electrician, a pizza delivery man, an astronaut, karate teacher. What can this guy not do, right? But more relevant to skateboarding, when you've been struggling to learn how to do a rock to fakie for the last 2 months, and then you see somebody ripping it up right next to you, making you feel like you don't even belong to be in the same skate park as them, it can be really unmotivating. But that's okay, because skateboarding isn't meant to be a team sport, or even a co-op game like Johnny Sins plays. Skateboarding is not a competition, it's just about you and your board and having fun at your own pace. So unless you literally are competing, you shouldn't be concerned about your skill level. Focus on you and what parts of skateboarding you enjoy doing, and just do that. But no matter what you do, skateboarding can just be straight up embarrassing sometimes. And it is just something that everybody has to deal with at one point or another. Everybody that skateboards at one point will or already has been just completely feeling themselves, having a good day, skating around, blasting that unreleased Playboy Cardi, only to hit a pebble and eat complete shit in front of a bunch of cars when you're crossing the street. Meanwhile, the people that just watch you fall are laughing their ass off and screaming, "World Star! World Star!" And that's when you know you fucked up. Stuff like this can truly break a man. I've never been the same since. Anyway, another thing that will happen that you might not expect when you get into skateboarding is that your perception of the world will literally change. I'm not saying that you're gonna have an existential crisis as if you took 5 cups of acid and now you're talking to interdimensional aliens.
When I was in Paris, I communicated in a different language. It's very impressive, man.
But I am talking about that rail outside your school where you banged Miss Walteron is no longer just some rusty bar that gave your balls tetanus. It is now, in fact, a skate feature, where you can visualize all the possible tricks that you could do on it, even if you don't have the skills for it right now. Even a boring parking lot has the potential of becoming a great skate spot when you realize that parking stoppers or curbs are actually great skate features. And you'll just begin to notice things around you that have the potential to be skateable. With viewing the world differently comes another sense of enlightenment. Skateboarding culture. It is something that has been somewhat appropriated outside of skateboarding, from skater fashion and clothing becoming popular to the whole aesthetic of skateboarding becoming a TikTok trend. But if you skate, you can tell a difference from somebody that actually skates and somebody that is trying to pretend to be a skater, also known as a poser, or also just somebody that, just likes skater fashion and they like wear Vans and like baggy pants. That's also a thing. They're not always posers just because they wear skater clothes. Unless you're wearing Thrasher, of course. And as you meet more skaters, you will find subcultures within skateboarding as well. There's the 80s bull skater dudes that are like 40 and completely shred the park. Then there's like the trendy skaters and the insanely good kids. I mean, the whole 10 skaters you will meet series that I made is pretty much based on this whole idea. And that's what makes skateboarding so beautiful. It brings so many different people together. And it's one of the only places that you can see a 30-year-old and a 12-year-old literally doing the same exact things. It's more than just a sport. It's a culture that's influenced fashion, clothing, and even music to some extent. Now up next is a short list of things that don't quite have enough substance to be full ideas on their own, but are definitely important enough to be talked about. You will make lifelong friends. In high school, you might be looked at as lame for hanging out with underclassmen, but in skateboarding, it doesn't matter. You're all there for the same reason, to skate. It doesn't matter your age, your skill level, or what type of skateboarding you do. Just be respectful of others, and that's one of the easiest ways to make new friends. Getting kicked out from skate spots. This will happen to you, especially if you street skate. It's just part of the hobby. If you're asked to leave, just leave if they're being respectful. If they're not, it's up to you to do what you want, bro. I'm not gonna tell you how to live your life. If someone's disrespecting you, that's on your hands. That's outside of skateboarding. But generally, don't give skateboarding a bad rep. If someone's just kindly asking you to leave, maybe like get your trick done, leave, come back when they're not there. It sucks, but it's something that you have to deal with every now and then. Number 4 is learning the lingo. There's a ton of skateboarding lingo out there, and a lot of it makes zero sense to you when you're completely new to skateboarding. Like Stacey, what is that? Kanye's stripper name. My only advice is not to try hard to fit in. Just, just talk normally. You'll eventually pick up on the lingo. You don't need to know the lingo to be cool. You'll learn it as you continue skateboarding, and you'll eventually just catch yourself saying words that you wouldn't have known before. And I can't even really begin to cover everything that there is in skateboarding in just a 10-minute video. If you're looking for more information, check out, the rest of my channel, or r/new skaters, r/skateboarding on Reddit. Both are great resources for new skaters looking to learn. And on both of them, you can post your progression, you can ask for advice, you can pretty much ask other skaters, for things that you have questions for. And, this is skateboarding. I hope you enjoy your stay. And don't forget to skate fast, smoke grass, and eat ass.